Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Niger once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So, 165 episodes in, and man oh man, and it just gets crazier and crazier to think about the more that number rises. Of course, first because this is the fifth episode, it's a bit of a special one. There are some other orders of business that we will take care of, but we will get to that when the time comes. In the meantime, though, if this is your first episode of System Shock Radio, welcome. If not, welcome back. But if you are indeed new here, we talk about a variety of things, whether it be some nerd stuff, some inspiration, some current events, what's going on in the world right now, and there's quite a bit going on. So all kinds of cool stuff there, and of course some pro wrestling, and all kinds of stuff. So if that is your sort of thing, and you do go on to enjoy not just this episode, but some of the other stuff on the channel, then be sure to press that like button and leave a comment and subscribe. Consider subscribing and turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, today's subject of discussion is that we have a couple 25th anniversaries. It's now really 1999, and a lot happened in 1999. It was the end of not just the century, not just the decade, but the end of the whole millennium. And as things moved into a new millennium, we got some stuff that we carried into the new millennium. One of them was Y2K, but I'm sure we definitely learned our lesson and didn't do the same thing. I don't know, about 13 years later in 2012. I'm sure we were fine. But the other thing is that a lot of stuff premiered, and two shows in specific premiered in 1999 that kind of had an impact on me. Both in very different parts of my life, and I want to talk about them here on the channel. So we got two shows I want to talk about. The 25 years of the 25th anniversaries of, and actually for both these shows, the 25th anniversary was much earlier in the year, but earlier than ever, I guess. But yeah. So we're gonna be talking about those as well. Two shows that have some similar aspects, but are very different. And, so there's some similarities and some differences between these two shows. What do I mean by that? And let's get into it and find out. So the first show that I wanted to talk about is SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes, that's right. SpongeBob SquarePants premiered in 1999, more specifically on July 17th, I should say, of 1999. It was revealed on May 1st after the 1999 Kids' Choice Awards, and so it premiered on July 17th of 1999. And SpongeBob, like a lot of people, I'm someone who grew up with SpongeBob. I loved SpongeBob as a kid. It is a show that had really had a lot of nonsense, had some stuff that was more intended for an older audience, not super inappropriate, at least not all the time, but it's stuff that's some stuff for the older folk, some stuff for the younger folks. Most like the younger kids, like myself, were interested in the visuals and the simplistic characters, while the older generation was more concerned about the younger generation to an extent. But I'd also host some of the jokes that you probably wouldn't understand unless you're an adult. Like, that's true. And it's a show that's remained timeless, and it's a show that you can watch several times later on in your life and be like, oh wow, learn some stuff you didn't realize back then, and some of the stuff some of the stuff you kind of resonate a little bit more with as you get older. Now, SpongeBob, it's had its ups and downs. It's like after Steven Hillenburg left, have a lot of people feel like that's kind of where things went downhill, and part of me has to agree. Apparently SpongeBob has. I'm kind of out of the loop when it comes to the newer SpongeBob. Now, when I talk about how much I love SpongeBob, I more so mean the older stuff, like the old school SpongeBob. But some new stuff. Apparently, kind of getting back on track. Patrick apparently has his own show now. Patrick even has his own video game now. So continuing off the success of like Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated and the Cosmic Shake, but it's still a really fun show from my childhood. And a show that apparently was going to look a little different as we see in the wiki here. I'm just going to read this excerpt. So many of the series' original ideas originated in the intertidal zone, an unpublished educational comic book Hillenburg created in 1989 to teach his students about undersea life. Hillenburg joined Nickelodeon in 1992 as an artist on Rocko's Modern Life, and after Rocko was canceled in 1996, he began developing Spongebob Squarepants into a television series that same year. And in 1997, a 7-minute pitch. My camera wire's kind of in the way, so I'm gonna try to move it gently without the camera disconnecting. There we go. But a 7-minute pilot was pitched to Nickelodeon. The network executives wanted SpongeBob to be a child in school, but Hillenburg preferred SpongeBob to be an adult character. He was prepared to abandon the series, but compromised by creating Mrs. Puff and her boating school so SpongeBob could attend school as an adult. Well, and you do kind of get the vibe, and I do kind of understand wanting it to appeal more to children. But having SpongeBob as an adult, with like a job and everything, and acting childish at times, I think it kind of gives you the best of both worlds, and it kind of allows the show to walk that line of like being for kids, but SpongeBob mainly being an adult and everything. Sometimes to its detriment, and a lot of that is present in a lot of the later seasons, which is why a lot of people found themselves not quite resonating with it as much later on. But yeah, so I do wonder what it would look like had they went with that original vision. And SpongeBob, ever since debuting in 1999, has been going mostly strong ever since. And aside from that little down period that I mentioned, it's been going mostly strong for the most part ever since. And almost to its detriment, a lot of people felt like it should have ended a while ago. Apparently, they wanted to end it as far back as 2004. Apparently, and I mentioned this in my SpongeBob SquarePants movie review, how the show originally was going to end apparently in 2004 or with the movie. And if it did end with the movie, I think that'd be a fitting end for it. But the fact that it is still going strong, even with all that's going through, kind of going through some of the muck and everything, and he is his definitely a testament to it. And Steven Hillenburg, he did leave for a little while. I think he left in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And see if I can find it within see if I can find it. It's within the wiki here. I might have to go to production, and so I'm not quite able to find it, but only because I'm quickly glancing through. But Hillenburg did leave for a little bit, but he did come back in 2014 to the show. Steven Hillenburg did unfortunately pass away on November 26th of 2018, and they did decide, of course, to continue the show after his death. But still, what he created definitely ultimately cannot be mucked with. Try as they might, right? And it's one of those things where the thing about Steven Hillenburg is he has a background degree in marine biology, and you see a lot of that play into. I think that's the main thing as well that plays into what makes the show work, is that it is, for the most part, obviously it's very much exaggerated, cartoony. In a way, the show is very, very cartoony. SpongeBob and friends are very animated to the point where they explode for no reason, of course. But Steven Hillenburg's marine biology background does allow the show to have that sense of realism, and I think that really helps add to it even more, or is having a little bit of that realism. and the fact that the theory seemed to be true that Bikini Bottom is supposed to be first of all, it's supposed to be kind of a dirty joke, but also that it's supposed to be he beneath Bikini Atoll, which had quite a bit of nuclear waste. I believe that's one of the areas they tested when they tested like the nuclear bomb and everything. But that bringing the show's character to life, and of course all the fan theories and stuff like that for a show, and when the show has a lot of fan theories and like fan engagement, you know you've created something memorable. Not all of it was good, but you know you created something memorable. And SpongeBob, even if I'm not able to get into the newer stuff, even if I'm not always able to get into the later stuff, it wasn't all bad. Some of it was cool. They had various specials, various TV specials. They had a couple movies, of course. There's a SpongeBob movie from 2004. There's man, I cannot think of it. Sponge Out of Water. That was it. And a couple other movies. They also had some TV specials. They had Gary Come Home when Gary ran away. There's SpongeBob the Big One. I remember that when I was a kid, where SpongeBob was going to battle this giant wave. There was Atlantis Squarepants. There was the Wrath of Triton. Not all of them were good, but having that to keep it going, and all of it has led to SpongeBob having a special place in my heart. But that was when I was a kid. But when I was an adult, or not quite an adult, but in the process of becoming an adult, aka being a teenager, and kind of as my interests changed and everything, and even to an extent my sense of humor changed, I found myself gravitating towards this next show that I'm talking about, which is Family Guy. Now, Family Guy, a lot different from SpongeBob, much different, and a show that had found itself with multiple cancellations and stuff like that, and found itself in even more some issues, and some feel having a little bit of a bigger fall off than SpongeBob. But Family Guy, I much different from SpongeBob. This one fully more so for adults. It's a show that came out around the era of shows that were trying to push the envelope, push the boundaries, and kind of bring up taboo subjects and make fun of very stuff you probably weren't supposed to make fun of, and stuff you really shouldn't made fun of at the time. But Family Guy did hit, and that was around that time. It was kind of the edgy, darker period, but also kind of the period where the envelope was pushed, and Family Guy definitely did that. Now, there are other shows seemingly doing it more, and in some people's opinions better shows, such as like The Simpsons and South Park and Beavis and Butthead. But Family Guy, older Family Guy, again, newer Family Guy, compared to SpongeBob, newer Family Guy can get to even less. As I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the newer Family Guy stuff does feel very much like a chore to watch. But older Family Guy, and it's what got me into it in the first place. I think I started watching Family Guy around when I was 13 or 14. But my parents were kind of strict, so more adult stuff I didn't get into until I got older. But Family Guy, older Family Guy, did it have a lot of pop culture references, chock full of pop culture references. It's pop culture. Jeez, I cannot speak today. Was chock full of a lot of pop culture references and references to what's going on in the world, and making very out there off color jokes. But I think what gravitated me and a lot of people to it is that it had a certain charm about it. I should also mention that this show premiered on January 31st, I should say, of 1999, and following Super Bowl 33. How I almost couldn't read the Roman numerals there. I almost forgot what Roman numerals were for a second. But it premiered after Super Bowl 33, and has been going ever since. And again, even despite a couple cancellations, but Family Guy premiering after that had and a show that had quite a bit of a certain charm to it. The jokes really felt funny. It was stuff where it didn't feel forced. The jokes made sense to an extent, and the characters you kind of gravitated towards for the most part before things went completely off the rails. You had Peter Griffin, a who was a somewhat kind-hearted dork, herc, and moron of a dad. You had Lois, who was the motherly figure. You had the teenagers, Chris and Meg, kind of going through high school. Chris is going through hormones in a way, and that's where I'll leave it. And Meg, just your average teenage girl before she sadly became kind of the punching bag of the show. Oh, you had Brian, the talking dog. Oh god, yeah, take that, Simpsons. Our show has a talking dog. And of course Stewie, the infant evil genius. Just that simple dynamic, and again, similar to SpongeBob, kind of a simple dynamic for Family Guy. But the way things play out and the antics a lot of the characters got up to were pretty funny, and the jokes felt very clever. You had the cutaways, which they still have the cutaways, but you had the cutaways to kind of break up the action and everything, and so that nothing seemed to drag on too long. And you had a variety, colorful cast of characters alongside the rest of the Griffin family. He had to add even more life to the town of Quahog, Rhode Island, in which it turns out there is not a Quahog, Rhode Island, but there is a Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So shouts out to Family Guy, teaching me a little bit more about Rhode Island, and so good on you, Family Guy. But the family, for the most part, I think what also helps the jokes work is that a lot of the jokes and a lot of the situations were very much out there, but at the core, the family was just, for the most part, a normal, typical American family. They had Halloween, they had Christmas, as they watched football, stuff like that. They felt like your average American family, just within average situations. Later on, Family Guy seemed to fly in the face of that, and apparently it's to the point where Seth MacFarlane, and apparently, according to reports, wanted it to end a long time ago, but be that as it may, Family Guy was still a lot of fun. But what about those cancellations I was talking about? Now, only 2 are listed here, but I thought there was more, or unless they're not listed. So the original run was from January 31st of 1999 to February 14th of 2002. So Valentine's Day of all days. Then the show was canceled, and they made fun of their cancellation on air. But eventually, it being run through Adult Swim, usually the block of cartoons that aired usually after Cartoon Network, at least when I was growing up. They aired Family Guy to the point where they just and people loved it so much that they decided to bring it back. And Family Guy, because of a lot of their off-color humor and everything, did get in trouble with stuff like the FCC and everything, or the PTC, like the Parent Television Council. So Family Guy got in quite a bit of trouble, not unlike some of the other shows I mentioned, such as like The Simpsons and South Park. But Family Guy. Family Guy is still going strong to this day, and again, similar to SpongeBob, much to the kind of chagrin, detriment even, of some of the viewers. But Family Guy is for the most part still going, but I think another part of it is the musical numbers. Family Guy has quite a bit of musical numbers. SpongeBob had them as well, but Family Guy had them as well. Hell, and had some classic ones such as Bag of Weed, the FCC. They made a whole parody song about the FCC. They made a whole parody episode about the FCC where they tried to censor real life, which apparently kind of had the opposite effect because the FCC loved that episode. Apparently, at least we know the FCC can take a joke, but yeah, so stuff like that is what gravitated me towards Family Guy. And another part of it, and please don't take this the wrong way. I don't mean to offend anybody here or anything, but one of the best parts about Family Guy is that essentially no one is safe. It doesn't matter her race, religion, ethnic background. Family Guy made fun of everybody. Not everybody took it so well, but Family Guy made fun of everybody. They made fun of celebrities. They made fun of different backgrounds. They made fun of pop culture. Her Family Guy pretty much had a bingo card of how many people can we piss off essentially. And Family Guy checked off most, if not all, the boxes. And it's to the point where we saw spin-offs of it. We saw the Cleveland Show, and we saw it come and go, essentially. The thing is, the Cleveland Show wasn't bad. It just felt too derivative of Family Guy, and I think that's really what did it in. Especially because it went totally against Cleveland Brown's character, or that being a bit more of a voice of reason, for the most part, very soft-spoken and everything, but that came and went. And Seth MacFarlane had other shows such as like the Cavalcade of Comedy. He did the Orville, which is kind of in the vein of Star Trek, which he always wanted to do, a sort of Star Trek reboot. And shouts out to Seth MacFarlane for voicing pretty much most, if not all, of the cast for Family Guy. Most, I should say, because we do have others. We have, of course, Seth Green as Chris and Mila Kunis as Meg. Heck, although at first, of course, it was Lacey Chabert, but she left pretty early on, and then Mila Kunis came in from there. But yeah. So 2 shows that have kind of an impact on me, kind of similar or somewhat similar beginnings in a way. Starting in 1999 and having kind of similar trajectories, kind of falling off a little bit, but still going to this day. So now it begs the question. And what's next for these shows? Do you guys want to see these shows continue on, or do you want them to end? And excuse me, I think if they ended, it wouldn't be the worst thing. A little past their shelf life, and there's a reason why a lot of shows come and go, but are still considered classics, because they pretty much came and went before, or they could really mess things up. And sadly, Family Guy and Spongebob don't really fall into that boat, but. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications, every time I upload videos, so you can see as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments your thoughts on these 2 shows. Do you think they should keep going? Do you think they should end here? And let me know what you thought in the comments. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Whoa, hold on. Don't click off just yet. I actually remember that I forgot to announce something, and actually wanted to wait till the end to announce it. But here's the end, and I'm announcing it. So, the year is almost over. It's already November. Crazy thing, it just felt like yesterday when 2024 began. Now the year is almost over. But because of that, I feel like it's time for me to really lock in. I am a bit behind on a lot of stuff. There's whole movies I've watched that I have yet to review for the channel. We still haven't done a video game review or two this year, and of course there's stuff such as November, which is obviously this month, so that's like the Survivor Series stuff, or next month is December, the end of the year, so it's Christmas stuff. So because of that, I have decided that starting on Monday, it's Saturday night as I'm recording this. I'm not sure if this will go up also Saturday night or tomorrow, aka Sunday, but starting Monday, every day will be daily uploads on the channel. I'm going to be doing 1 video per day. We're kind of going back to form. I feel like life has kind of gotten in the way, and I kind of fell off a little bit, but it's time to get back on track. It's time to lock back in and saddle up, buckle up the seat belts and lace up the bootstrap. It's time to lock in for the rest of the year. So every single day, for the rest of the year, will be 1 video uploaded per day. And if it's a video I don't get to in the day, I'll just save it either for the next day or later on in the week. So yeah, daily upload 1 video every day for the rest of the year, and come next year I'll have a brand new schedule set out, but obviously we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, of course, once again, and I will see you guys later. Peace.